So as it turns out, 2 slugs to the chest and a watery grave were the least of Mark Spector's problems. In the season finale of Moon Knight, we've got supersized gods, winged avatars, puppeteered corpses, bloody footprints, vanity plates, and that's not all. We've also got a lot of questions. Does Layla take up the mantle? Will Mark find salvation? Does Amit get her paradise? Gather round as we run it all down right here on the Review of Champions. Fair warning, this discussion will contain major spoilers for the episode. Moon Knight may have reached the end of his journey, but the champions have only just begun. We've got a lot of great content lined up for you in the coming weeks, including reviews of Miss Marvel, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Now that the preamble is out of the way, let's turn our attention to the packed arena and meet today's champions. Champion, when I say your name, just give a wave or say hello to the folks out there in fandom land. Mr. Grandmaster.
Hello.
Merv. Taylor. Biz.
Good morning or evening.
Nice background, Biz, by the way. Had to give you props on that.
Thank you.
And joining us on audio, we have Loki's mom.
Hi there.
All right. So now that we've met everyone, just in case you don't know how the format of the show works, we're going to do a deep dive into this episode of Moon Knight, starting with initial reactions going around the table with the panel. Then we're going to ask everybody to do a deep dive, giving us some of their likes and dislikes for the episode. And then finally, we will close out the review doing an episode rating and giving any closing remarks that we have. I'd like to start off with the Grandmaster. Go ahead, give us your initial reactions, your hottest, spiciest take for Gods and Monsters.
Gods and Monsters, the season finale of Moon Knight. It was kind of a mixed bag for me. There were some highs, there were some lows. Overall, it could have been better, in my opinion, but I did still like it.
All right. You've given us a tantalizing mystery there, Grandmaster. We're going to have to circle back to you and sort of get those likes and dislikes, but I'm going to jump over to Merv and get your initial reactions on the episode.
Same thing, mixed bag. I got most of what I wanted, but there was just something missing throughout that kind of left a weird taste in my mouth. But overall, I'd say pleased with the episode and series overall.
Outstanding. Let's hope we don't have a theme going on here when I jump over to Taylor for your initial reactions on the episode.
I like the episode very much. I thought it was really good. I don't have dislikes per se. There's a couple of question marks I have, but we'll get into that.
Indeed. And Biz, tell us a little bit about how you felt. Quick take.
I actually liked the finale overall. I thought maybe it was a little bit rushed towards the end, but I guess that's about it for me. Solid finale, like I'd say 8 out of 10 right out of the gate. Yeah.
Outstanding. We got a little bit of a preview of Biz's rating here. So that being said, I'm on your side, Biz. I really didn't have a lot of problems with this episode. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I felt pretty satisfied with the episode and the series overall. But last and certainly not least, we also have Loki's mom lingering in the ether of audio only. Tell us a little bit about what you thought of the episode.
I agree with Biz. I felt it was rushed. That's probably my only dislike of the episode. It left me perplexed. A lot of loose ends, I think. I don't know if this is going to have a second season or not. I think if it's going to be a second season, it makes more sense. The ending does. But yeah, overall, though, I enjoyed it. I mean, certainly it was everything that that they've done previously throughout the series. So yeah, I'd give it a higher rating, but like I said, I think it just kind of left me wanting there just a little bit.
Got it. All right, so we've got the general impressions from the entire panel, and it looks like we're going to have an interesting discussion because we've got some people who were mixed, some people who were thinking high watermark, and maybe we might even find some lows in the discussion as well. Merv, I'm going to start with you to go into a deeper dive and analysis of the episode with some emphasis on what you might have liked or disliked coming out of it.
Liked, I would definitely say the overall action sequence, especially once it got going. What is it? Khonshu versus Amit in like god forms. That was really cool. And then Moon Knight and Layla, who had become the avatar of Toweret, versus all the minions and Harrow. Those were all high points for me. I loved those whole sequences.
Yeah.
And even early, like I was okay with the way it kind of built into that, where Harrow gets the statue and then goes to the Pyramid of Giza or whatever. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but there's like sprinkling of like weird disappointment though. Like whenever Harrow, so I guess his dislikes, whenever Harrow first shows up, he takes down like 5 avatars of gods without. And he's not even an avatar of anyone at that point, is to my understanding. Like he wasn't yet an avatar of Amit because she didn't even know who he was.
Right.
So that was like, and then they didn't show it, and that was like, this is the finale. I kind of want to see things now. Like it was kind of a cool thing to like skip over some action sequences early on if you have to or whatever, in episode 1 and 2. But like now, this is the finale. I kind of want to see how that happened.
This was the time for some avatar on avatar action.
Yeah, especially whenever you have him and all he had was that cane. I assume he like took their souls or something, but how aren't they a match for him is my question. So I guess big question mark there, and kind of a disappointing scene.
Well, and that being said, in some cases we don't even know who those avatars represent. I mean, if you're an avatar of the goddess of music and the lute, you're probably not going to be too useful in that scrap. But I see what you're saying, Merv. I hear what you're saying.
You'd think that, but like Layla becoming the avatar of Toweret, who is like the goddess of fertility, right? And she drives a boat across the underworld, and she gets like really cool like razor wing powers and stuff. And
she did get a boss she got a very boss level upgrade.
And I know at least the main guy was a avatar of Osiris. So to me, that seems like he should be pretty powerful. But then the other, I guess, disappointment was whenever Jake showed up for the action sequence, and then they skipped through that. And I was like, like another scene that would have been cool to see that we're just skipping over. And then the end just kind of like, once the end was happening, and they put the god inside Harrow. And it just like, it felt like the episode ended like 4 seconds later. Like it just felt like we're done. Okay.
Right,
I needed a little bit of a cool down afterward to like, just take it all in and have it mean something to me, So I guess those were my negatives, but the whole action sequence, seeing the gods, especially seeing Amit and, Khonshu go back and forth, that was highlights for me, like visually.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And now that you've sort of unspooled it in terms of your thinking on it, I can certainly agree with you that there was a bit of a cheat whenever we went into Jake Lockley mode, and then things were just quickly resolved after that. Maybe in season 2, we'll do a little bit of a rewind and see how Lockley sort of solved all those issues in flashback. That would be nice. I could put that sort of at the top of my wish list for season 2, but totally understood what you're saying there, Merv, and thank you for those incredible comments. I'm going to move on to Biz and get his take, dislikes, likes, whatever you have to add to the discussion about the episode. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I said before, overall, I thought it was a pretty great finale. Like you expected like a big climax of sorts, and yeah, we got that with the 2 like deities like battling it out. I thought it was, in a way, it was a little bit distracting because you have like 2 fights going on. Like, was it necessary to show the gods fighting at the same time? Like, I mean, they had the avatars, sure, but I don't know. I thought that could have been done a little bit better, but it was still a good, cool scene. Like them in like powerful or god mode. What else? So yeah, I thought it was a little bit rushed because like Jake Lockley, I think that needed a little bit more development. Maybe it's just me. Like like obviously there were hints and stuff, but I don't know. I felt like they could have shown more of that character. I guess they're saving that for like the next season or the movie or whatever it may be.
Right.
But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the episode. Like for example, the action that was phenomenal. Sometimes it was like a bit of like slow mode, and you could see like what's her name, Layla, and I don't know what do I call him, like Stephen or Mark? I don't know, like the multiple
Take your
personality
pick.
guy.
Take your pick.
Let's call him
If you
Midnight.
say Mark or Steven, that will be legit in this conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, that was pretty cool seeing all that. Terrific choreography. Yeah, and then we got to see like obviously a little bit more of Jake Lockley when like the way it just like it was like a really pivotal moment where like it looked like they were gonna get defeated and then he just like transformed. So that was pretty cool. Apart from that, any more negatives? No, not that I can think of right now. Maybe I'll add something later. Yeah, but that overall, like I thought it was pretty great, but a few letdowns. But that's why I rated it 8. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you and I probably got suckered in by the kaiju style fighting of the gods, and we just didn't pay attention to anything else. We couldn't think critically after we saw like skyscraper, pyramid-sized gods having a fight. I thought that was just so well realized, and the special effects on it looked gorgeous. I love the design of Amit. They really, after slightly disappointing me with Towerette's design, and that could be just my aversion to hippos, but they really made up for it with Amit. So I was pleased with that. Thanks for the commentary, Biz. I'm going to move along here and get our take from Taylor, the fan without fear. What's your deep dive on this episode?
Like I said, overall, I liked it a lot. I liked a lot of the things that the other guys have already mentioned, the action. Layla became Henrietta Hippo's avatar. That's a reference to New Zoo Review. Ask your parents about that one, kids. But that, you know, that it was fine. She did great. Costume was cool, except for those dumb things on her arms. But the costume overall was cool. I'm told she's actually a character from the comics called this Scarlet Scarab.
Yes.
Maybe
yes.
so. I don't know. But it kind of reminded me a little bit of, you know, Arrowverse, where like every character eventually becomes a superhero. You know, it's like, you're a superhero, you're a superhero. You know, it wasn't necessary, but it was fine. And the action scenes were great. Her action scenes were great. And then her working with the two Moon Knights all came together really good. That giant crocodile lady was really cool looking.
Yes,
Loved seeing the kaiju
my
fight.
goddess.
The kaiju fight. Which, by the way, I've seen some people talking about this online. I will bet I'm 99% sure that those two giant gods were invisible to normal people.
Right.
I see some people saying, why didn't the people react to those giant gods? Well, they couldn't see that. They were just like the jackal monsters from the first episode. They were invisible. So they were watching the avatars fighting in the street. The whole soul sucking thing that made her grow, that was all very cool, very well done. The special effects were all top notch. My only real question is the end. Why did Mark and Steven wind up back in London in bed and chained to the bed?
Could it have been a dream? We're going to find out from Grandmaster if we lost on that against the fandom.
It wasn't a dream because they were still talking to each other now. They're completely in cohesion now. And even if it was to stop Jake from taking over, well, Jake can unbuckle the thing. They know the other avatar, the other personalities are perfectly capable of unchaining themselves and going, you know, and originally Steven chained himself up because he thought he was sleepwalking, you know, or something. You know? Didn't make sense to me to do it now. Maybe there's a reason. But anyway, that's the only thing that had me scratching my head. Overall, great episode.
Yeah, great episode. I can add to your notes by saying that now we know whoever that young lady was that Jake asked out on a date. She's fluent in Spanish. We now know that.
There you go.
And I also had a question of my own, just like you. Taylor, I was like thinking about the previous episode where the young Mark switches into his Steven mode when he's in his room and his mother's knocking on the door trying to get in. I was like, why would he switch to Steven if Steven is the one that's supposed to be having the rosier memories of mom? So we do get a few glitches and plot continuity issues throughout Moon Knight. It isn't perfect, but overall I found this episode satisfying and a little different than other things that Marvel has done. But thank you as always for your notes, Taylor. I'm going to move on to the Grandmaster and get his take. I think you were a little lukewarm in your initial reaction, but happy to hear you unfurl all of your ideas about it.
Well, it's a little bit of what everybody already has said. The action was more than fine. I really loved the fight of the gods. Layla becoming the Scarlet Scarab, that fight with the three-way fight with her and Arthur and Mark was great. I had issues with the pacing. At the end, it was like as you wish. They wake up, done. Sorry, I'm getting excited.
No worries. This show is all about excitement. Let's keep it coming.
Done. Then we get that after credit scene where Jake Lockley is, or mid credit scene I should say, where Jake Lockley is revealed, and I was like, why isn't that at the end as well? Why is that a mid credit scene? I was still wondering, actually, what Taylor said. It didn't make sense that they're all of a sudden in bed. Is it a dream? Is it a hallucination, or did they switch to Jake Lockley again? Went back to London, and we don't know. It felt to me it was a bit messy, and like they actually wrote themselves into a corner and didn't really know how to get out of it, and just let it hang out there. Let the fans decide, or just ignore everything and just continue the second season and don't solve it. It really, that part really was disappointing to me, because I love the show so far. I like the character dynamic. It's strange because the character is the same person, but the character dynamic between Mark and Steve, and we all know that Jake was there because it was heavily hinted at throughout the show. Then give us Jake as well, and don't stick him into a mid-credit scene. I may sound very negative but I agree with all the former panelists who have spoken that the action was great, and there was a lot of positive as well in this episode, but no need to repeat that. But overall, I was kind of disappointed, and after episode 5, I really felt that Moon Knight could have been one of the best things Marvel has ever done. It's still great. I posted an updated ranking on the board, and it's still in my top 10. But yeah, it isn't. It isn't like I had to put WandaVision above it as it comes to Disney Plus shows. I think that show
it's
in
hard
the end
to
is
topple the Queen.
Yeah, but in the end, that show is better. It's more consistent, and it stuck the landing much better than Moon Knight did, and that hasn't nothing to do with the actors and actresses in the show. They were great. I'm just a little bit disappointed in how they finished it, and yeah. I wanted more.
That it might have had a little bit to do with a shorter runtime than most of the other episodes and a lot of business to take care of. I think they may have just mismanaged their time and the things that they needed to take care of.
Well, this show was very ambitious. If you see where they all go and what they all cover and where they spend time on, then I say, why not stretch it out to 8 episodes? And then I know they want to do the moon thing where you have the 6 stages of the moon in the credits, and you go from full moon to but they if they had stretched it to 8 episodes, then they could have spent more time developing the story, and getting the characters, and give us a little bit more time with the apparently healed Mark / Steven, which he's not because they're still Jake. But yeah, it was too rushed, and I was disappointed by it.
Indeed. All right. Well, we've got one disappointed champion in the arena. Couple of mixed opinions here. We also have some people who are quite bearish on it. I think that would be me and Biz. Now it's time to turn our attention to some feminine energy inside the arena and get Loki's mom's take on this. Give us all of your analysis. Give us your likes and dislikes. Let's see if we can break the streak of disappointment.
Well, I don't know if you'll break the streak here. Yeah, I was disappointed because they had spent so much time, episode 5, with this whole psychological journey and everything, and then it just then abruptly ends, and we're back into what was sort of called the movie of them being in the tomb, and we're back to that reality. So yeah, it kind of went, I think, a little too hard there, and I agree that with Grandmaster, yeah, at least another episode. There was a lot more they could unpack, especially with the Jake character, so that we could get a better idea who he was and his origins. At least give us a hint. You know, they didn't have to just keep him a complete mystery. This is one thing about Marvel that they'll, I think they play it too tight to the vest sometimes. You know. And then that generates all the spoiler crap that kind of keeps rolling and rolling. Of course, I know it's to keep people talking about it and all that. So, I mean, I understand the cynical side of business there. Another negative, yeah, I don't know, the whole kaiju type giant gods battle. I think the people of Cairo probably looked up and said, again, you know, I mean, at this point,
well, it's hotly debated as to whether the people of Cairo actually saw any gods fighting. They might have seen some of the psychokinetic energy of objects moving and things like that, but we don't know that they saw a giant crocodile and a dead pigeon fighting each other.
Well, I think at that point in Earth's history, they, you know, that's why I said again, they're jaded to it. Oh yeah, okay, they're out there. Well, they're not in town. They're out there at the pyramid. Let them fight it out. That's you know, that's just one of my pet peeves about the whole thing. But you know, and we had kind of forgotten about, or I had forgotten about the whole Ahmet and Hero, who was supposed to, whatever he's going to do with the souls of the people. I'm really not sure what all that was about anyway. What was the point of all that? So that was kind of another loose end. You know, we already mentioned Jake is still a cipher and everything. So positive, certainly, I think, is the here again, I think, at least for a little bit, we see the great Oscar Isaac put yet another persona on his face. You know, we talked about how well he could do, just in his countenance, how he could flip from Mark to Steven, and we really got a sense of two different characters there. Then when we see Jake, we see this, I mean, you know, this guy's serious. Also, the very ending, I noticed when we're in the credit scene, we're back in an insane asylum, and yet I think it starts to look more realistic. The insane asylum in Mark's head is real, sort of hyper, very bright, just overly, just, you know, you wouldn't expect an insane asylum to look like that. When you get back to the very end where the hero's sitting in the wheelchair, then yeah, it looks, you know, it looks a little grungy. It looks normal. It's just, you know. Also, I'm wondering, what was the point of killing why did Jake kill those people in the hospital? Now, who are those? What would have been the point of that? He just went in there to get him and take him out. He wouldn't have had to kill anybody. So I don't know. That was an odd thing that left me there. So I think, as far as Oscar Isaac goes, I think he was a perfect team all the way through this thing. I'm gonna shave points off for I think an ending that I'm gonna call Marvelous Interruptus.
All right then. We're going to circle back around to get your rating. As a matter of fact, that's a brilliant segue into the next part of this review. I'm going to go around the table and ask you guys to turn in your episode rating for Gods and Monsters. And optionally, if you'd like to fold in a full series ranking, whatever you do, feel free to do so. I'm going to start the proceedings off with Taylor. How many shop teas, 1 out of 10, can you give this final episode of Moon Knight?
Final episode gets 9 out of 10, and the season overall also gets 9 out of 10.
Spoken like a boss, very decisive here. Biz, can you continue the streak by telling me how many golden scarabs, 1 out of 10, you can give Gods and Monsters?
All right. Yeah, like before, 8 golden scarabs out of 10. For the season overall, yeah, I really like the season. So it's probably like, for me, I think it would be above WandaVision, but yeah, 9 out of 10 the whole season.
Okay, putting it above WandaVision. Again, Wanda, you're inviting the wrath of Wanda stands to come get you.
Bring it on.
But indeed. You know what? Some of us have to stand up for, the surreal and the psychological in the MCU. So thank you for sharing your rating with us. Merv, we're going to go to you and see 1 out of 10 straight jackets, 10 being the maximum amount of straight jackets. How many can you give to this season finale?
I'd give the episode 7 out of 10 straight jackets, and I'd probably give the whole series a 7 out of 10. I'd probably rank it third behind WandaVision and Hawkeye. I know I'm probably the oddball putting Hawkeye up there, but yeah.
No, who doesn't love a holiday themed series? Come on, Hawkeye is awesome. All right. Well, we're going to go back to Loki's mom and get how many bloody footprints, 1 out of 10, you can give us for the series and or the episode.
Well, for the episode, I would have to say 7, because, like I said, I think it a lot of the issues just kind of, they didn't stick landing. Let's put it that way.
Understood.
The overall series, then I'm going to probably say about 8.5. Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, it's my sentimental favorite is going to be Loki, no matter what. I think WandaVision just artistically was the best. This one kind of doesn't hit WandaVision. I thought it was. I think I'm going to put it right below WandaVision, though.
Understood. So even though we do have critical remarks and thoughts and sentiment about the series, we can still see that this is scoring fairly high on the Disney Plus Marvel scale that we have here. I think that these are a little bit more than nits, but probably a little less than flat on complaints and failure and disappointment here. So,
well, we hold it to a high. I think because it was so well done, we're going to hold the last episode to a higher standard.
Well, we have to. We always have to hold these things to a higher standard, even though Disney has consistently delivered with these series in general. So last but not least, I'm going to go to the Master of Ceremonies and ask you, sir, the Grandmaster, how many golden scarabs, 1 out of 10, can you produce for this episode? And if you'd like to give us a series rating, that would also be appreciated.
I'm going to give the final episode 6 tin scarabs out of 10. And
not bronze. We can't give bronze.
No.
Oh my God! It has to be 10. Okay.
And the final episode brings this show down for me to 7 out of 10. I was very fond of the show as it developed, and the last 2 episodes were really great. And then the last episode brought it down for me to 7 out of 10.
Okay. That is fair. That is understandable. Thank you for delivering on your rating. And ladies and gentlemen out there in fandom, you've heard it from the entire panel. We now have a complete review series for Moon Knight. We hope you saw it. I hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you enjoy our discussion. All right, so it's that time again. This is the part of the show where we let the champions weigh in on some of the wildest fan theories floating out there in the ether.
Cannonfodder.
Or I should say, that is what we would usually do. Since this is our season finale review of Moon Knight, I'm going to segue to our producer, the Grandmaster, to help us round up our theories and tell us who won in this deadly game of speculation. Was it the champions, or did the fandom come out victorious this time? Grandmaster, take it away.
Thank you, Lord Deathman. I will keep this sweet and short. The fandom made a mess of things. Basically, they were right about 2 theories that Jake Lockley will appear. They got a point. And that Jake Lockley is the third personality of Mark Spector and is a psychopath. Well, judged on that 20 seconds we saw Jake Lockley, I would say, yeah, he's a psychopath. So I'm going to give that to the fans as well. I give them half a point for Tara will bring Mark back to the land of the living. Tara did play a part in that, but didn't really do it herself. It was Mark who went through the gate together with Stephen. That is the only 2.5 points the fandom got. And on that point that Jake Lockley will appear, actually they beat the champions by half a point because the panel was too divided to get full credit for that. To
get full credit. I remember that.
Yeah. The champions in the end got up to 8.5 points, so it was a clear victory for the champions. Where we missed out, that would be interesting to just quickly discuss. Will Blade appear? He did not. Werewolf by Night appear? He did not. We actually were convinced both characters could appear. Mark murdered Layla's father. Well, we were inclined to say so, but no, he did not. And then the last one, yeah, that's up for debate. I still think it's not an hallucination, the whole show. We actually also said it is not a hallucination. So, yeah, that was actually a point for us. So we should have entered 9.5. But anyway, we won clear, and that's it. There was not much debate between us and the fandom in the sense that we took over their theories, and where we did, we won actually. So, or we barely lost by half a point because we were too split. That's
Indeed.
it. The champions remain undefeated, and yeah, the fandom is still without a victory.
Indeed, you heard it here from the Grandmaster. The champions have emerged victorious once again. Folks out there in fandom land, drop us a line in the comments if you want to test your mettle against the panel. Who knows, one day you might be able to take on one of our champions. All right, that concludes our session on Cannonfodder. Remember, we do this every time we do a review. We will look at some of the theories, see what the fans had to say, and then pit them against the champions in terms of whether those things are going to come true or not. Moving on now, we're going to go to a segment I like to call the lightning round. Where I'm just going to check in with some of the champions and ask them some interesting questions about the series and where they think it might go from here. I'm going to start off with Merv, and this one's a scorcher. I just want to get your quick take. Do you want to see Moon Knight in the larger MCU, or do you feel he's better served in this surreal setting, a little bit more insular from the rest of the gang?
I would be perfectly content if he showed up in a movie that fit, obviously, his character or his storyline, wherever it may be at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ask a question, get an answer. So I'm right there with you, Merv. I do want to see him connect with the rest of the MCU continuity, but I am hearing a lot of fans say, "Oh no, it would be better if he just stuck to his sort of night maneuvers and, maybe stayed on the horror side of the universe. But I am with you in that I would like to see him in some of the more mainstream films. I think he's a great character.
Yeah, and Oscar Isaacs is a great actor to put in anything. So, he'll be a welcome addition to anything that they want to throw him at, I think.
Indeed.
Unless it doesn't fit at all.
Right. Well, I don't know if he could be in a Guardians movie, right? Like,
that's fair.
Thank you for that, Merv. Moving on to Biz. Do you want to see more gods in the Moon Knight series as we move forward, whether he goes to movies, whether it's a season 2, whether we get a one-off? What do you want to stay in that world of Egyptian gods? Because some people think that these Egyptian gods aren't very bright, and maybe we should move on to another corner of this universe. But what's your take?
Yeah, I'd definitely love to see more Moon Knight. I mean, it's not like Oscar Isaac is like a famous movie actor or anything like that, but yeah, I mean, like they could easily transfer him to the movies. So yeah, I'm for it. Like whatever avenue they choose, whether it be like a one-off thing on Disney Plus, like it doesn't even have to be necessarily a movie, like a TV show, like a limited series, yeah, whatever it is, I'm down for it.
Indeed. I tend to agree with you as well. Our next question goes to Taylor. Taylor, here's the log line: the Egyptian Falcon and the Lunar Soldier. Do you want to see more team-ups between Layla and Mark moving into season 2 or into another movie?
I would be fine with that, seeing more of the two of them together. I don't know if I want to see just the two of them together from now on. I would still like to see some solo Moon Knight stuff, but them teaming up again is fine with me, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought they made for a really, no pun intended, dynamic duo. I would love to see her break out the wings again, even though there's some similarities to that and other characters in both DC and Marvel. All right, Grandmaster, turning to you, our next question, you being fairly critical and deeply analytical of this Marvel outing, I want to know, do you feel like we need a season 2 here? Would you be interested in seeing more of Mark's adventures, or do you feel like Moon Knight might quietly need to go away?
You caught me by surprise here, but I think, this is a show where I would like to see a season 2, just like I did for Loki. And the others don't really need it. Those characters just had to go through some development, and that's fine, and then they can move on to other projects. But for Moon Knight, also circling back to your first question, I'm fine with him crossing over to other properties. No, don't get me wrong, but that's why I'm a fan of the MCU. But I would love for Mark Spector to have his own show and grow within the context of his own world as well. So yeah, give me season 2.
All right, you've got it. A definitive answer to the question. We definitely want to see more Moon Knight. So then that leaves our last question going to Loki's mom. We finally got to meet Jake Lockley, the Mephisto of this particular series. And it seems that Khonshu has pulled the wool over Steven and Mark's eyes, sort of re-recruiting him again after that. Are you interested in more Moon Knight that focuses perhaps even exclusively on the character of Jake Lockley?
Well, do we know for sure he's going to have a second season? Has that been announced, or?
It has not. This is speculation. We are just spitballing here. Just want to get your thoughts on whether, if we do get a season 2, do you want to see more Jake Lockley at the forefront of the narrative and maybe Steven and Mark sort of go into the background?
Yeah, I think that would be the logical way it would go, because there's stories left hanging right there between Harrow and Khonshu and Jake, and they shoot Harrow. Well, is Harrow going to be dead, or is he going to be resurrected as another Avatar? I mean, there's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that was just. They went to tie up so many loose ends that they left other loose ends. So if it's cliffhanger, if it's all a cliffhanger, yeah, this makes sense. but just not knowing that it's a cliff. At least in Loki, we knew he was going to have we knew it had to end that way because we want more. This, if they're going to end it, then they should made it more satisfying. Making it so dissatisfying, it's got to have a second series. So absolutely, whatever they do with it, he can have his own series. I'm wondering down the road, maybe a year or two. I'm thinking at some point, Marvel's going to have the mashup like they had eventually with the Avengers, where everybody comes together to fight whatever the conflict is. So, yeah, absolutely, he would fit in, I think, with Strange and whoever else is going to be running the whole thing, and if they could ever get it out the starting gate into whatever the next big mega plot's going to be. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac times 3, or to the third power, however you guys want to do the arithmetic. Thank you so much for giving us those comments, Loki's mom. I'd like to say in closing here, I think, we did take a slight dip in episode 3 for me. The plot could sometimes be a bit meandering as far as this series was concerned. And we didn't get as much MCU connectivity as I would have hoped for. But still, at the end of the day, I do think it's safe to say that Moon Knight was fresh, it was innovative, and it was really unlike anything we'd seen before from Marvel. So I'm going to take closing remarks from the panel. Does anyone else have anything to add about this series before we close out our review?
I'll say, yeah, as far as what is the actress's name? I don't have a computer who plays Layla. Can we give her a shout out?
Indeed. I have a computer. I'm actually using one at this very moment, and I think that this young woman's name is May Calamaway. I probably butchered that.
Okay, yeah. I think we sort of complained about her at the beginning. She was kind of like this meh. We didn't know what was going on with her. And then she kind of fell off the map. We didn't see her anymore for a while, and then she sort of comes back. I think she really grew on me. I think by the end, when she's in her Scarlet Bug or whatever she's Scarlet Scarab.
Scarlet Scarab.
Yeah, she just really, I just really loved her. I thought, yeah, she's a great addition too. So I'd like to see more of her.
Indeed, I echo those sentiments. I think she did a fantastic job, and I think that she grew into her character as the series went on. So I am right there with you. I would love to see her in a season 2. So that said, that does bring us to a conclusion of another episode of the Review of Champions. I want to thank the panel for joining me today to break down this episode and the series. And of course, I'd also like to thank our listeners out there and invite you all to continue the discussion with us on social media at Twitter and on Facebook. Do you have any burning questions or a spicy hot theory? No need to keep it to yourself. You can join us on the forum at sakar.freeforums.net. That about wraps it up here. So until next time, laters, Gators.